Coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast, we are blessed with our second Masters week in a little under 6 months. And we had an action-packed weekend at Augusta with a very important win for the game. We get into all that and recap everything in our highlights from the week. Plus, we have a very exciting new nonprofit partnership announcement to get to where you and us and our whole listener base can help participate in growing this game that we love together. Plus, we're tuned in to a radio competition with some past guests and one of our favorite voices of childhood as well. And this week's guest is Stephanie Gilbert from WXAN TV in Austin. Love her as a host and great food personality. She gets into her TV competitions with Ali Khan, grilling, barbecue, Joey Chestnut, and a whole lot more. Plus, we finish with some Pepsi talk, ice cream, and a crazy pizza when we hashtag always end with food. All of it brought to you by our friends at FlightScope. And Mike, I talk about it all the time. It's that wonderful pocket-sized unit that I take with me to the backyard for my warm-up. I take it to the driving range. It starts every day on the golf course because it's what gets me dialed in. It's the Mevo unit that I'm talking about. It's a wonderful little unit. You literally just put a few feet behind you when you're hitting balls. It tells you exactly how far you're hitting the ball. And it gets you dialed in and gets you ready to play so you know exactly how you're hitting the ball, how far you're hitting the ball. It's the vital information that you need, and it's the Mevo unit from FlightScope. Our promo code is COL10 for 10% off of your Mevo unit. Bubba Watson uses it. Bryson uses it. I love it myself. Get yourself dialed in with the Mevo from FlightScopeGolf.com.
Friends, and welcome to Course of Life, part of the Morning Read podcast network. We are proud to be presented by our friends at Desert Fox Golf, Groove to Golf, and Toasty Snacks. I'm Michael, he's Alex. And Alex, it was a tradition unlike any other.
Yes,
except we had it about 5.5 months ago. Spring in full bloom at Augusta. Now, I've been living in Savannah, Georgia for about, going on, I think about 6 years now this summer.
Oh boy, yeah.
And let me tell you, the azaleas in person are just incredible. And to see how well maintained they are every year on television when we get to watch the Masters is just, it's just special. It's just really special.
It's no shade on the November Masters as well. We enjoyed having that fall tournament. That was a nice little surprise treat for golf fans at the end of a crazy 2020. But the April time slot is where the Masters belong. And this past week proved it with just a really great flowers out. The views were there on full display. Obviously, it was great to have a much more bolstered gallery back there. You heard the roars from Augusta National again. And it's such an old school tournament where phones aren't allowed and people are running from hole to hole and getting manual information from hand done leaderboards. And it just brings back a lot of fun throwback vibes of the game. And there was just, I felt a real warm, fuzzy feeling all week long, as I'm sure a lot of golf fans did.
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome week. It had your typical ups and downs. And let's start on a Thursday morning at the ceremonial first tee.
Yes, I got pretty emotional watching this. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it was a pretty special moment, as it always is. But did you catch what happened during it?
Yes, I think I know what you're referring to. So they wonderfully introduce Lee Elder, first African-American, and break down the color barrier, play in the Masters and a bunch of other PGA Tour events, legend of the game. It was great to see him out there in addition to Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus hitting the first tee shots. But yeah, I noticed something funny when Gary Player went up to hit his first tee shot too. I'm glad you put this in our notes as well.
Yeah, Gary's son Wayne was seen holding a sleeve of Encore golf balls just so specifically over Lee Elder's shoulder.
I mean, I'm one for product placement, but I don't know if this was the best forum to do so.
No, I don't think it was. And what's surprising is that Wayne Player has a past in doing some questionable things. So kind of disappointing to see this.
That was, yes. And to be totally blunt, I had the beginning of tears going down my face when I saw this moment on the first tee. And then all of a sudden I saw Wayne do this and hold the golf balls out. And I immediately got brought back to earth. I was like, wait, what did I just see? Did I just see an advertisement in the middle of the ceremony? So yes, an auspicious start, but nonetheless, it was a good moment to see all three of those legends out there on the first tee to get things going.
And then, of course, we got into the rest of the golf that happened there, and we saw Justin Rose go nice and low on Thursday. And I think we were all thinking, especially at the end of the day, Friday, that he was in key position here for the weekend.
Yeah, played that amazing Thursday, and then just seemed like starting Friday afternoon just seemed to be in neutral the rest of the week. It's like he wasted all of his good shots and his birdies on day one there, and kind of came back down to earth. It was interesting to see him be at the top of the leaderboard because he's a guy that's had a lot of close calls at Augusta. So you thought that his moment might have been here, but alas, it was not. A couple big names missing the cut right off the bat, like real like no doubter miscuts from Brooks Koepka coming off injury, could not get it going again. Rory did look completely out of sorts. So there were definitely some surprises. Dustin Johnson didn't make it to the weekend as defending champion. So a lot of big names missed out early.
Yeah, it was surprising to see kind of some of the best players in the world not be able to make the cut. And it was, especially the like of DJ just phoned it in. I don't know what happened there with DJ. 74-75 Thursday, Friday. I mean,
and a bad finish and a bogey. Had to make, I think, a birdie or par the last and made a bogey to try and make the cut. Yeah, just an auspicious start for some of the world's best nonetheless. But one player we got to get to who stole the hearts of a lot of the world of golf, a guy that you and I feel like we've mentioned this guy forever on this podcast. I feel like I've known him for years now, but the world finally got to introduce themselves to Will Zalatoris, the biggest rocket ship, I like to say, in the game of golf right now. There is not one greater.
Yeah, he's really the kid from Happy Gilmore.
Yes, he looks just like Happy's OG caddy. Not one that looks like Zach Galifianakis that eats the rich cracker off the green, but the original one with the scrawny hair. Yeah.
Yeah, we know him, of course, because he was playing Monday Qs just a few years ago, just grinding his way in, got into the Korn Ferry Tour, happened to get to be able to play at Augusta, and there he is. Now, he's not a PGA Tour card-carrying member.
Which is wild. Which is wild in and of itself. I mean, the guy's done everything. I mean, he's top 30 in the world. I just saw him at the match play. He's in World Golf Championships. He's contending in majors. And it seems like every 2 or 3 weeks, we've got him on a leaderboard or he's high up there in the odds for when we're looking at our picks week in and week out. So that's just a stunning fact in and of itself. Yeah.
And yet, just like a former past major champion over in the LPGA Tour circuit, Sophia Popov, he is not going to be eligible for the FedEx Cup because he's not a member. So,
just very dumb. I mean, just another one of the strange oddities of how kind of status and achievement works in the game of golf. You would just think kind of from the eyeball test, you look at this kid and what he's done in the last 12 months. And I think everyone can agree, can we just hand this kid his tour card right now? Can we just get rid of the particulars and just look at the finishes that he's produced in some of these amazing stages? He's clearly proven himself. The idea that he can't qualify for the FedEx Cup is just lunacy. I wonder if we're going to get some sort of revision later in the year, the way we did with Sophia Popov's ruling, where they changed the structure of her exemption a bit. Hopefully we see some of that change with a little bit more backlash for Zalatoris.
And let's get to the lead, which I think we buried here, which we've done repeatedly on this podcast, is Hideki Matsuyama. Really shouldn't be a surprise that he was in this since he was the low amateur a number of years ago. And, I don't know if you've picked this. I'm finally figuring out you got to pay attention to low amateurs at the Masters. They're going to come back around pretty heavy. So Matsuyama, a great display, just kind of did what he had to do on Sunday after shooting a 65 on Saturday. And so the Japanese players go back to back at Augusta after the women's amateur and the Masters. Yeah. And so what do we think of this? Is this, we're all saying international golf is here. I feel like international golf has always been here. And now we're just finally seeing an Asian golfer come in and win at the Masters, which is amazing and incredible.
It's basically just the floodgates are opening now. Yeah. It's already been here for a while.
Yeah,
We've
really
already seen the huge talent, and now we've seen it from guys like Siwoo Kim and Sung Jae Im as well too. Asian American players like Colin Morikawa and Kevin Na as well too. So this movement has been here for a bit, but like I said at the top of our show, this was an important win because of not only how big the game of golf is in Japan, but Hideki's importance. People don't realize that this is a golf crazy nation that has been dying for a major champion and a winner and a champion in this stratosphere like Hideki is now. He's been a world-class player for years. To get this major, people are saying is close to maybe a $500 million or $1 billion win in terms of endorsements and growth of the game in that nation. So this is much bigger than just an Asian-born player getting the win. It's doing it for the growth of the game in that entire part of the world. I've seen it firsthand. Hideki Matsuyama has his own set of media crew from Japan that follow him at the match play and every single event he plays in the United States. He carries a lot of weight and definitely a lot of the weight is lifted off his shoulders with the victory.
Yeah, I did really appreciate with CBS several times on Sunday during the broadcast played the Japanese commentators as well. So we got to hear what they heard in Japan. I thought that was a really good call on their part. They also made a comment early in the round about Matsuyama and possibly him now being the one to light the Olympic flame this summer.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 100%, but I'm pretty sure we did come through and say, yep, that is happening. So we'll look forward to seeing him at the Olympic Games, which are definitely going to make their return after a year absence. Looking forward to that as well.
Yep. Let's touch on a couple other players in there that we thought were kind of cool. Let's talk about our picks. Both of us had some opportunities. Let's get my Morikawa out of the way. He had opportunities, but he just couldn't capitalize. But your guy, Xander, what happened on 16?
He just lives sniffing around the lead at Augusta. And I said this last week. I said, he's just one of those guys that's just going to be around on the leaderboard come the weekend. And he wasn't even playing his best golf, but he was around. And as soon as Hideki hit it in the water on 15, Mike, it was a snooze fest for about 3 hours until Hideki hit it in the water on 15. I jumped up off my couch for the first time all afternoon. And I said, now we have a tournament. And then 5 minutes later, Xander Schauffele rinses his ball to par 316, and it was over. So it's just as fast as his hope came to win. It was fleeting, and it was gone in thin air.
It was, throwing up a 6 on 16 in the water over the green, and then, it was just a mess for Xander.
I mean, he's really close, disappointing. Mike. I have to pick him like every major championship until he wins one. He is the best player to yet to win a major championship in the world right now.
I would agree. Yeah. But here's my question for you, though. If you had to put money on either Xander or Jordan to win a major this year, who are you putting money on? Because Jordan Spieth very quietly all week just hanging around and couldn't make a run, but still finished tied for third in there with Xander. So pick one. Who is going to win a major this year?
Yeah, I don't know. That might be Jordan only because they were doing a little think ahead. Nick Faldo was talking about Kiowa for the PGA Championship. Wide open ocean course. We're going to have to do a lot of scrambling. I'm going to choose Jordan Spieth scrambling right now over Schauffele's because his short game let him down just a little bit there, did Xander on Saturday and Sunday at Augusta. Might have to go Jordan for that answer. It's a good hypothetical,
though. I'll throw a wrench in this whole thing. I will say if we're relying on scrambling to win a major, then it's going to be Matsuyama winning a second one this year.
Yeah, he was very impressive. Like I said, not only is he known for being a world-class ball striker, but the short game was there when he needed it to be. He holds a lot of crucial putts, and that's how you get it done. Throw the green jacket on. So shout out to Hideki, and again, a fantastic win, not only for Japanese golf, but for Asian American golf in general.
It was a fantastic week. Let's also talk about the broadcast, Masters.com, the Masters app, because this is what we just think is pretty awesome and what they did on social. Just some really incredible images that they put out on their social media channels. You saw the photo of the horn being sounded on Saturday for the weather delay, right?
Yes, I did. Amongst many others. Yeah.
I had to turn to my wife and go like, help me out here. Is this really captured in camera? And she helped me remind me that it is, because you have a temperature difference between the compressed air in the can coming out, which is how you get that kind of ripple effect going around the can. So that was pretty incredible photography there.
That was some golf content porn for sure going on the Masters social media feed all week. They had some great reels where they mixed in some Dr. Dre music with some scenes of the day. I was just very enamored with the whole coverage from start to finish. And the simple thing I know you and I appreciate is you popped on to masters.com anytime last week. You went to that live tab and you clicked on any stream that was going live. It was up in 2 seconds and there was
any stream. Any player on the course, because all the cameras are on all day. You can watch really whatever you want all day.
Yeah. We drone on and on about how great the Masters is and how they're just kind of just a cut above the rest in the golf world in terms of just tournament management. They really showed it from a technology standpoint this week as well. Maybe people, riffed about shots they did or didn't see on the CBS broadcast, but from an interactive and a technology standpoint, they crushed it on their website.
Can I just say though, I didn't watch a lot of Saturday, not as much as I'd wanted to. Yep. But the little bit of Saturday I did watch, I felt like on CBS they weren't showing a lot of players playing. They were showing a lot of the same. They were showing a lot of Rose. They were, that's what I felt. It was like Justin Rose playing. And I'm like, there are other guys on the course right now.
They do. CBS seems to be enamored with the leaders and not getting to the rest of the tournament. And that was something they faced some backlash for on social media. Definitely did notice that on golf Twitter this past weekend.
But that's the Masters. We'll be back in a year, not this 5.5 month stuff again. We'll be back in a year at Augusta going down Magnolia Lane. You know what I found out, Alex? This is what we need to do. We need to get in there as press. So I need everyone out there listening to help us get into this as press next year, because they do a lottery for Monday play. 40 press members get to play.
Yeah.
So
Michael Eaves from ESPN Sports Center got that ticket earlier this morning. So he got to play 18 holes and a bunch of the other broadcasters. That's definitely a bucket list round for those guys too.
So that's how we're going to play Augusta. But there's a lot of things we love about playing the game, right, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this week is just a reminder how much we love the game, but we see it every week when you and I talk about our rounds on the course and just our affinity with everyone we've talked to on the show and growing the game as well. And we're really excited to bring this announcement to everyone on a partnership that we are embarking on with our friends. Our friends, because I say this friends because we've known them forever, Mike. The First Tee, and most specifically the Greater Austin chapter where I am, that's an organization that has brought growth to the game and given golf to underprivileged kids ever since you and I were little. And they've been an amazing pillar for the growth of the game, especially in our youth. And we're really honored to say that we are now going to be partnered with the First Tee Austin. We are going to be the official podcast of the First Tee Austin. We're going to do some content with them. We're going to get a donation box coming as well too. Why don't you give out a couple of our social network channels so people can tune in the next week or two, because we're going to drop the link to the donation box pretty soon. But where can they find us if they maybe want to get involved with donating the First Tee?
Yeah, of course, all of our social links are in the description below the episode. So go down there all the way at the bottom of our episode notes. You'll find links to all of our socials. But we're both of us are on the Twitter. I'm at MWRINC. You're at Course of what? I always forget yours. Course of Life Podcast 1. Yeah. On Instagram, we're on there. At COL Podcast is our official podcast handle. So you can find us there. Alex on Instagram is at Course of Life Alex. I'm on there as at MWRINC. You can find us on Facebook as well. We're everywhere.
Absolutely. So we're going to post the donation box link wherever we can to the First Tee and the First Tee Greater Austin, and we're going to get our audience involved. Be sure to check out firstteeaustin.org. You can check out a little bit about us in the partners tab as well too. But a lot of opportunity here, Mike, not only for us to give back to the First Tee, which we're excited about. I'm going to definitely go out and visit the Austin campus. I'm going to check out the youth camps that they're doing there. We'll maybe do some fun golf content. Mike, they have a 9-hole course, and they also have a foot golf course, which I've been told I need to try. I've never played it before, but I'm very interested to see what that's like.
Yeah, it's going to be really awesome. I'm really looking forward to this partnership with them and really continuing to give back to the game. It's something we've talked about wanting to do for a while, kind of offline, and I think this is a great thing for us to be doing. So I'm proud of us.
Yeah,
I don't want to be too full of ourselves, but I want to pat ourselves on the back a little bit here.
We're growing up and we're doing good things, and we appreciate our friends at the First Tee. So again, stay tuned to our social networks. We'll be posting that donation box link soon, or ways that you can get involved and give directly, whether it's through us or directly with the First Tee. We're here to help them. It's a great initiative. Looking forward to working with them more.
Let's look ahead to where the PGA Tour is going to be this next week, because they're going right up the road from me. They're at the RBC Heritage at Harbor Town on Hilton Head, just an hour away. One of these days I'll get tickets to go. And let's take a look at the field, because you still got a lot of guys that were playing at Augusta. They come, just 2-3 hours down the road to Hilton Head, and they get to play here.
Yeah.
What do you think? Will Zalatoris, is he going to take a win here?
I mean, Jesus, it's going to be hard to stay away from him this week, right?
I know.
For the world. Is he tired? Does he finally have a I'm tired miscut week? I don't know. I mean, this guy has built a career off just traveling left and right and getting in wherever he can and finishing high. So got to be part of the pick, right? I just love RBC Heritage, Mike, because you love the location and the lighthouse in the background behind 18. But it's kind of like the after dinner mint after the meal for the Masters. It's just a nice, refreshing cool down. I enjoy the vibes there. It's a very player friendly course, and it's a good follow up to the Masters.
Yep, and it still has a pretty good feel out there. Of course, Zalatoris is there. Webb Simpson is there as well. Patrick Cantley is there. I mean, it's got and DJ's playing.
He is. So, there is a note that Bryson pulled out, so there's no Bryson DeChambeau.
No Bryson.
I do want to shout out another Bryson in the field that I'm watching for, Mike. Could maybe even be a future guest on the Course of Life as well, too. We're talking about Bryson Nimmer, Mike. You remember a few weeks ago, I had Wes Patterson on, who created that press golf series.
Yeah.
$100,000 to the winning team. They had their first tournament in San Antonio last week, and it was Max Walruff and Bryson Nimmer who took home the $100K prize. So Bryson's coming off the $100K win in San Antonio. He just got a sponsor's exemption into the RBC. So we might be headed for a couple of Brysons on the PGA Tour pretty soon. So I'm watching out for Bryson Nimmer this week.
All right. There you go. I want to look real quick. Maybe you have this info ahead of you before. One other name I want to throw out there, someone to maybe be looking at this week. He finished tied 12th, I believe, at the Masters. Stuart Sink.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I don't see him in the top 15 power rankings, but I would be surprised if he isn't in the field. It was cool to see him out there with his son, qualifying for his second Masters in about a dozen years. So, again, it's not a long golf course. You don't have to hit a mile here. It's a ball striker's course on the water. So, could be an interesting sleeper pick there. I like it. Again, you're at MWRINC. I'm at Course of Life 1 by Wednesday afternoon. You can check out our picks for the week.
Let's switch over to Tuned In, where we share what we're tuning into outside of the world of sports. Not that we are really paying it up to too much outside of the Masters all week. I actually just discovered a new podcast to listen to, and it's a little bit of a childhood throwback.
Yes, it is. Well. I referenced a voice from our childhood at the top that just reminds us of our younger days when things were so much less innocent in this world. Who dropped the new podcast?
Yeah, he's actually, I don't know how long this podcast has been out there for. I just kind of finally came across it. Levar Burton, everyone's favorite engineer from Star Trek.
He was in the running for Jeopardy host, wasn't he?
I still think he should be Jeopardy host. He's, Levar Burton he's just so down to earth, and he's real, and he cares, and you get that in everything he does. And of course, he was the voice of our childhood, getting us to read and reading Rainbow. And now he has a podcast called Levar Burton Reads. And he reads short stories on this podcast. And the one I listened to was not for kids. In fact, he swore repeatedly throughout it. Oh, that's great.
That's a fun little heel turn for Levar Burton. I appreciate that.
He actually said at the very end, he said that he thinks that there's a lot of expression in swearing, but he's never done it to that extent in a read before. So
sure felt good for him, I imagine.
Yeah. So if you need little 30-minute short stories from Levar Burton, pretty good.
That could be a nice car drive. Listen, or a nice Sunday afternoon outside on the patio.
There you go.
That. Good stuff. Yeah. I'm tuning into a radio battle coming up here in Boston Sports Talk Radio with a couple of our past guests on the Course of Life. WEI, Mike, Sports Radio in Boston. They're looking for a new female co-host for their drive time radio show, talking sports and everything going on in the city. A couple of past guests are up for the nod who may be getting the role. Courtney Cox had a fantastic audition in the last couple weeks. I know she's actually out at the RBC Heritage this week, and also Brittany Baldy as well too.
Okay,
had a really good audition day. So we're going to find out in the next week or two what the status is. I checked in with them, and they haven't heard anything official, but there's going to be an announcement soon. I have a good feeling both of them are going to get some sort of role at the station. So looking forward to hearing some past voices on the course of life on Boston Sports Talk Radio.
Awesome. Can't wait to see. Best of luck to both of them.
Yes.
Hope to see one of them on there. In the meantime, though, let's get into this week's guest because we're talking broadcasting. And Alex, you've got another great TV personality and host from your hometown in Stephanie Gilbert that you had the chance to talk to. She hosts Studio 512 on KXAN TV in Austin. And we get into her on-air competitions, right? With Ali Khan, grilling, barbecue, cooking, all this fun stuff.
Oh yeah, a little bit of a connection to Joey Chestnut as well too. We get into all sorts of fun conversation and a wild background for Stephanie that got her here to Austin. So great conversation, touching on a lot of things with Stephanie Gilbert.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it. But first, as always, we want to let you know that this interview is brought to you by Desert Fox Golf, our friends of the show and makers of the Phone Caddy. The Desert Fox team is based in Arizona, so they know golf, and the Phone Caddy is crafted by golfers and engineers. The Phone Caddy is unique because it mounts right onto your golf cart in seconds in a place where you can actually see and use your phone. Keep your yardage and scoring apps at your fingertips. Change your music, answer calls and texts, and more, all with the Phone Caddy from Desert Fox. It's the most functional way to keep your phone safe and ready on the course at all times. The Phone Caddy works seamlessly with almost any phone model and quickly becomes the talk of your foursome. And for our listeners, you can save 10% off your purchase of a Phone Caddy with the promo code Course of Life. It comes in a range of colors, and you can even show your support with their patriotic line. So head on over to desertfoxgolf.com to get your Phone Caddy, and don't forget to use the promo code Course of Life to save 10%. Again, that's promo code Course of Life at desertfoxgolf.com.
Next up, we have a host and TV personality who's the co-host of Studio 512 right here where I am in Austin, Texas on KXAN TV. Here to talk everything Texas, her food favorites, and a whole lot more. It's Stephanie Gilbert joining the Course of Life. Stephanie, how you doing today?
Hey, I am excellent, Alex. How are you?
Doing very well. I know we were already chopping up about our favorite restaurants, which we'll get into shortly. But I want to get into your background in TV first. I come from a communications background as well, too. And I'm curious kind of what your path looked like before I got to know you here in Austin. I believe you had a stop in Houston, but just tell everyone a little bit about kind of your journey to get to where you are now in Austin.
Sure. I will try and keep it short and sweet, but it is not a normal journey. So,
I bet. Yeah. Everyone's got an interesting little path these days in the industry. So,
well, buckle in. I started out as a hairdresser. So my dream was to always be, an on-site news reporter, news anchor, loved being around a TV station. I was inspired originally as a young kid by April from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
Loved her, wanted to be her. And I never really gave up that weird dream. I was a small town girl out of Lyndon, Washington, way up north near Canada. And nobody wanted to do TV there. There wasn't even a TV station nearby. So really, I've got to give it up for April for giving me that dream. And I ended up going to beauty school with the thought of putting myself through broadcasting school at some point in life, and met a mentor through the salon that I worked in, and, ended up doing sports for a Seattle station.
Wow.
And some school, the school randomly shut down. I always thought I want to move to Texas, be a Longhorn sidelines reporter. So it was just a weird, random dream. I packed up, moved to Texas, quit doing hair, and got into like a tiny broadcasting school in Houston that put me on a morning show out there. And this was 12 years ago now. So I worked in TV out in Houston for a couple of years, just doing like freelance work, working in a few stations, deciding what I wanted to do. Was I lifestyle? Was I going to do traffic? I did a little bit of weather. And then I moved away to Paris on a weird whim. So I left the country and lived, Paris for about a year, Australia for 5 or 6, did something completely different. And I missed TV so much. So about 5 years into my Australian life, I had a really random email to say, hey, this is, your old executive producer, and I'm starting a TV show back in Houston. Where in the world are you? And can you be my first hire out here? And so I was like,
love that.
Yeah. So
I'm halfway across the world too. Well, I'm not close right now, but.
No, exactly. Well, I packed up and I left a big corporate finance recruiting job where, I had a great career path, and I hated what I did for a living, and I always dreamed of getting back into TV. And so I left the money behind and I hopped on a plane and started producing and reporting on a brand new lifestyle show out in Houston when it started up, called Houston Life. I did that for about 2.5 years until I completely burned myself out, working like crazy hours, figuring out TV all over again. And I actually met my now husband on the set of my Houston show, and he moved to Austin to pursue his next step in the fire department. And so I was like, look, I'm ready to make a change too. And I hopped out here. We bought a house about 3 years ago. And oddly enough, a position opened up at Studio 512. And the man who's now my boss was actually my very first, he was like a director and sort of a floor producer out in Houston, and my very first TV show there. So he knew me and he brought me on board many, many years later. And I've kind of, just sailed this ship here in Austin and been lucky enough to work with an awesome team and kind of go with the flow of whatever Studio 512 is now, because we've been working from home for a year. So throughout that whole journey, I never thought, the weirdest thing out of it all is, that I'm now broadcasting from a cell phone in my spare room at my house in Round Rock, Texas. So,
yes.
What a journey.
Yeah, it's an irony of it all. I love that. I have to touch on Australia real quick because I have been there, but I'm curious, what part of Australia were you specifically in when you lived there?
I lived in Perth, Western Australia, and the same week that I was offered to come back to Houston, I was also offered a director's position to move over to Sydney and open up a recruitment office for them. So I was either going to end up in Sydney or back in Houston.
Okay, that's where I went. I was in New South Wales and stayed in Sydney for a week or so. It was beautiful.
Beautiful area.
Oh,
it definitely is. But I'm glad to be back in Texas.
I love that. That's a very cool story. Everyone does have their own path in this industry. I knew there was probably a background story, and sure enough, there was one. So very neat to see. And then, so now you're with KXAN TV, like I mentioned, the NBC affiliate here in Austin, Texas, for those who don't know. And Studio 512 is the show that you're part of with co-host Rosie Newberry. Just tell everyone who's not from the area a little bit about the format and kind of how the show came to be together with the two of you.
So the format is varied at the moment. I mean, we're so up in the air with how we can do things working from home. But basically what we try to do is highlight the best of Austin. So small local businesses. We really focus on a lot of women-led companies. We try and highlight kind of the best of, but we also it's also a sales format too. So we have clients who join the show as well. So a lot of it is, integrating what's great in Austin, plus what we like to do. I talk a lot about grilling. I talk a lot about gardening, my dogs. So we get to talk a lot about, our life and, sort of try and interact as real people with the audience. And that is about the only place I think I could go in TV at this time, because I can't just sit and read a prompter all day.
Yeah, you know what? And your show is such a relief for a lot of people as well, too, with everything that's been going on in the past year, especially turning on a station like KXN, where, they have a fantastic news team that delivers the news, amazingly and professionally. But it's nice to have the relief of a show like yours that's just talking about things that are not the hard news of the day. And you get to introduce new local businesses and obviously women-led businesses as well. It's a nice part of the day as well, too, for those who haven't seen the show. There's lots of videos on YouTube and the internet as well, where you can check out Studio 512. I'm curious, tell me about how everything had changed. You hinted at it a moment ago with March 2020 and basically everyone moving to home. I know you guys are a very studio friendly show. It's called Studio 512. So the studio got moved to your homes. It was interesting seeing a lot more of the show after the fact, but how did that kind of shift go for you guys in 2020?
Yikes. It didn't go well, I'll tell you that much. I still think it's like, well, every other day we have huge technical difficulties. But it kind of paved a path where it works, and all of the little things that, might kick us off the air or things go wrong, we've kind of been there, done that. So it's not nearly as stressful. But like you said, we were in a studio. It was lights, camera, action, a technical team, a director in our ear. We had real microphones, real cameras, a real teleprompter. And now I literally sit in one corner of my spare room with a laptop in front of me. My phone is in a little phone stand. I have 2 studio lights and kind of a fake background. Like I've put up wallpaper that looks like brick and painted a door pink. And, everything's very different in this room than it was before. And all around me is a big mess. There's dogs barking in the background a lot of the time.
Of course.
Sometimes the doorbell rings. We virtually welcome guests now, which I'll be honest with you, it allows for a lot more reach. So it's not as fun or as interactive to be in studio doing fun, games and weird things and really interacting with guests in real life. But it is at least a way that we can still welcome guests safely and still have some fun and still showcase some things. So, for example, I have glasses of wine all around me today that a company dropped off to promote, an Austin box wine subscription. So that's a normal thing where I just have weird random stuff surrounding me. So we try and still show off Austin the best we can from our home studios. And there are definitely difficulties that came with it. There was so many weird nerves in the beginning, which you think wow, you're just on an online sort of platform now. You're using your laptop,
right?
You're using your phone, but it was scary. It was very scary to be on an island and all of a sudden be your own, director. I'm running my own script as kind of a fake prompter. I'm setting up my own lights every day. And when something goes wrong, you feel really naked and afraid, I think. So it took a while to get used to it. But, at some point we'll obviously be back in the studio, but that's going to be, once everyone that we can that is vaccinated and the world gets a little more back to normal. So
definitely,
I think we'll still be here for several months, just making the best of it.
I've appreciated you both thinking on your feet. You've done lots of fun virtual celebrations from home, from birthday celebrations to holidays. We'll touch on one of those in a little bit, but I want to talk about some of the different food themes and guests that you've had on the show. You love highlighting the Austin restaurant scene and having different food guests on as well, too. A mutual friend of ours who's a regular on the show is Ali Khan, host of Spring Baking Championship and all sorts of food TV series. Tell everyone a little bit about your relationship with Ali and what you've gotten to do with him on the show before.
He is hilarious. One of my faves for sure. He's always bringing the party. And I think we just vibe really well because we're both competitive by nature. We're both up for a challenge. We're both a little bit insane. And so our energy is, from the first time he was in studio with us, it's just there. There's something about that guy that I'm like, we could just play and laugh and cook and eat all day.
Yep.
So he's a fantastic character, but a genuinely good guy. And he is a great chef. So I personally have not been able to enjoy his food, but I followed a lot of his recipes. I take a lot of tips from him. But he's done everything on our show, from eating surprise under the dome, weird things we prepared for him. We've done a segment with pig's feet and fruit roll-ups dipped in milk, and he'll go for it.
Sounds lovely. Yeah.
Delicious. And then he's eaten what we called a fat sandwich on air too. So just a bunch of leftover fat from, a piece of beef that was put onto a sandwich, dipped in some gravy. And my man will just go with the flow and do it all the way up until we were just helping promote, his newest venture, with the spring baking championship. So, with that, we did a little romantic board proposal off, and that was super fun too. I still think I won because I made bacon roses and bacon chocolate chip cookies and did like meat cheese. But his was very cute as well. So I'm going to get the last word in right here for my friend Ali Khan and say, hey, I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take home the cake on that one.
I appreciate that. He'll be issuing a new challenge soon anyway. I know that.
I know. Well, I should be reaching out to him soon to invite him back to help co-host, because every once in a while, like when I leave or when Rosie leaves, we'll grab a guest co-host, and he's on my radar for April. So I'm excited to see if he's available, what sort of challenge we can do. He's just fun. He's a great guy.
Very cool. I know one other thing the two of you have in common too is your love for the Traeger grills as well. I've heard about these things from lots of different guests we've had on from food TV all over the world, but I'm curious, you love to grill yourself. We're getting into that prime grilling season now here, spring in Texas, just beautiful weather day in and day out. What have you been grilling lately on the Traeger, and what are you looking to grill soon here?
It's everything. One of my favorite, just easy go-to is always going to be chicken thighs. It's kind of, what my dad did on the charcoal pit growing up. And now I've perfected the Traeger recipe, and it's so easy. But if I'm really like going all out to impress someone, I really want to like welcome them to Texas or do like a Christmas celebration. When we did this recently, I have a really good friend who basically gave me all his barbecue secrets to cook a perfect brisket on my Traeger. Now, for folks who are Traeger haters out there, that is fine. You're still welcome to come and eat my delicious food off there. At some point in life, I hope to have like the whole setup where I'm doing a full-on smoker, live fire. But the Traeger's so convenient. It is so easy to use. But I feel like everything I make in there just comes out so nicely. So love sharing recipes on there. I love to just hop outside, throw the ball with the dog, drink a beer, a glass of wine, and just have something smoking on the Traeger. I think, though, I'm always going to go to the grill for my steaks. So that's where I sort of draw the line. So
Okay.
Steaks go on the grill. A lot of my other meats, so any chicken, brisket, even prime ribs, those will go on the Traeger too. So I can talk about it all day. And actually, the last time I was on a call with Ali Khan, we went back and forth with like, what are you getting smoke flavors and what levels with the Traeger versus, an actual smoker grill and things. So it's a passion. It's something that I think I will continue to evolve. But one of the coolest things for me is my husband's a firefighter. And so he's gone, pretty regularly overnight. And so I don't have to just wait for my husband to come home and grill a steak or to make the brisket. Like I can do that on my own. And so
That's right. I like that.
That's the power that I have in my pocket, and I love it. So
it's a good power to have in marriage too. Shout out to your husband for his service as well too. And sure. I'd love to. You're definitely in TV. You don't have my notes, but you know exactly what I was going to bring up next. One of the coolest food adventures I saw that you got to go on is you got to spend time with Aaron Franklin. And for those who don't know Aaron Franklin, he's basically one of the godfathers, if not the godfather of Texas barbecue right now. The famous Franklin barbecue here in Austin, probably one of the most famous barbecue pits in the world. And you got to go there. Did you learn any secrets, or what were your favorite tidbits you picked up from that visit?
I wish I, was able to pick his brain a little bit more and learn some secrets. But to be fair, it was kind of like a fun little back of the house tour. And we did, some sampling, some eating. But he was still very strict about, we're not going to do a shoot where you're just skipping the line, because I think President Barack Obama was the only one who's ever been able to do that. And yes, I'm not at that status. So I secretly got food in the back, but there was no like, hey, I'm skipping the line kind of journey. So, as far as his standards go, I appreciated that he wasn't just like, hey, you are media, we can do a shoot where you're skipping the line, because that's not fair to the rest of the crowd. So I thought that was pretty cool. Shout out to Aaron Franklin for that. But I still have high hopes of taking his master class. So one of my good friends, one of my producers, bought his master class for his father for Christmas, just to cook a brisket. Not just to, you can actually cook a Aaron Franklin inspired brisket, but that's something that's on the list to do. But I was not able to, get any secrets. And if I did, I would have been sworn to secrecy.
So yeah, you would have kept them to yourself anyway, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, but
one more food guest I wanted to highlight is someone who it looks like you'd met previously, who you had on Studio 512, the greatest competitive eater of all time. I'm talking about Joey Chestnut, the god himself. I'm curious. So he was on Studio 512 to promote a competition I believe he had here in the Austin area. But how did you originally meet him?
Oh my gosh. So years ago when I first started in TV in Houston, the 12 years back or whatever, my boyfriend at the time was randomly a competitive eater. Like he thought, oh, this will be fun. Let me sign up. And so he went through like crawfish eating. We did like a tamale eating, a burrito eating. So we'd travel and go to these eating competitions. And I would be like the big time cheerleader. I'd make really fun shirts. I loved it. I actually, before I moved to Paris, kind of got together with them and said, hey, here's a pitch. I want to do a show with someone about this and actually like do some of the banter on stage and things. So that could have been the path I took. Moved to Paris. But anyway, throughout that circuit, and because I was working in TV, there was a Euro eating contest out in Houston, and Joey Chestnut and Pat Bertoletti, who I think is now in Chicago, who was a big heavy hitter back then. They came to Houston and they were doing the contest along with like a bunch of the top eaters. And so Joey was on my show then, Great Day Houston, the show I was working on. And so I met him then, and we all went out and partied like Washington Street in Houston. I was 25 at the time. And we partied hard. It was so much fun. They were a great group of guys. And we didn't necessarily stay in touch. But I think over the years, we continued to like follow each other as Instagram progressed and things. And so several years later, he shows back up into the loop, and he was at Coda for an eating contest. So we had him on the show, and we were able to reminisce a little bit about our, adventures 12 years ago with some crazy nights out on Washington Avenue. And he's a barrel of laughs. He's a ton of fun. He is a dang good eater. And I don't know how he does it, because I tried for real when we had him on the show, and he wasn't competing because he had to save his appetite and his jaws for, later that week. But I think I got down maybe a sandwich and a half in like the allotted time, where I legit thought I'd get like 4, and there was no way. So it's a skill. That man's got it down. But I've actually been out to New York to see him in the meantime too, do the hot dog eating contest. So I hope that guy, always gives me a buzz when he's in town, because he's just something else. I don't know. He's a barrel of laughs, a really good time, but so talented. And I just think what he does is really cool. It's very unique.
It is. It's very underappreciated. I appreciate your super fandom for the competitive eating circuit too. I like that background.
Yeah. So nice. Fun. Such a weird background.
Stephanie Gilbert from KXAN TV here in Austin. It's StephanieGilbert.tv on Instagram. You can check out on all social media as well. Let's just end with a few quick shot questions before we sign off here. One amazing achievement I know you did, which I have it on my bucket list, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it, is running the Austin Marathon. That's impressive that you did that. First off, what was the hardest mile for you to run in the Austin Marathon?
Every single one of them that year. No, I would say actually the final mile was a super struggle, but where I really wanted to quit was about mile 18. Shout out to my girl, Christina Vinyar, who joined me. She's my, kind of on again, off again trainer, really good friend. She joined me around that point to just push me through. So I'd say, it was maybe mile 18 where I thought there's no way. And then mile 26 by the time we got to the end, it was uphill. So Austin, not cool. Yes. Not cool at all.
Not a great way to finish a marathon.
No, not at all. No, but it was, if you ever want to do it, and you're really thinking about it, I'd say just go for it. It is hard, but if I could get through it after that mile 18, you could definitely do it.
Awesome. So, one other part of the show I love what you and Rosie highlight is a lot of different holiday themes and ideas that people can do easily at home, which is great for everyone out there. We're running this in April now. So the next holiday that's a lot of fun for people coming up is Cinco de Mayo, which gets celebrated extra here in Texas. I'm curious, for a holiday like that, do you like to be kind of more food or drink focused? And what do you typically like to do for Cinco de Mayo?
In the age that I am now, I'd say I'm more food focused for sure. I can handle a beer-rita or a margarita or two. But I still have to watch. I can't just go out for a crazy Cinco de Drinko or whatever we used to call it back in the day.
That has passed me by too. Yes, as well.
I still love to, indulge in one or two, but where I can really put it down would be, the taco or the queso side of things. I also really enjoy staying home and cooking for those kind of things or getting together with a small group. But if I were to pick a spot where I get my favorite taco, it's actually going to be Suerte. I feel a little fancy in saying that, but Suerte is one of my favorite spots to go and get a taco and enjoy some really, really good food.
Yeah, it's a heavily applauded restaurant in the east side of Austin there. Really cool spot. If you're ever in town, check that out. And then we're very big golfers here on the podcast. So I'm curious, there's lots of different cool golf options within Austin. Are you more of someone who likes to go to Top Golf with a group? Do you like maybe the Butler Park pitch and putt for a more relaxed setting, or maybe just drive the golf cart?
Okay, I could do all three for sure. Love the sound of all of them. I've never been great at hitting a golf ball, but when I get in my groove, you won't catch me walking away from it. I will do it over and over and over again. So for that reason, it would have to be Top Golf. But driving the golf cart, I grew up on a golf course when I was little. My dad worked on it. And so we used to take a golf cart around. I'd get to sit in the back and we'd go over, I guess I was pretty small. So we'd call it the roller coaster because there was a part of the golf course, a stretch out in Homestead in Linden, Washington, where it's really hilly and you could get some air on that golf cart. And so that is like a fond childhood memory that I kind of want to go relive. So if you're ever going out on an adventure and you need someone to have some fun in a golf cart with, I'm there. But otherwise, I'm going to go Top Golf.
I like that. I love a good golf cart adventure too. I appreciate the rolling hills of Washington. Nice.
I'm up for all of it.
Stephanie, thank you so much for hopping on the Course of Life. Looking forward to more content from you on social media and also with Studio 512 and everything else you're doing for KXAN. And enjoy your day.
Hey, Alex, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
That interview with Stephanie Gilbert is brought to you by our friends at Groove It Golf, makers of the Groove It Golf Brush. You've seen it on the bag of tour caddies and your favorite athlete and golf personalities on social media, and it's the brush to get for the 2021 golf season. This brush's patented pump sprays water or cleaning solution right onto the club face for you, making it quick and efficient to clean clubs or even your golf ball in seconds. The Groove It brush includes a detachable magnet so you can bring the brush to the club head. And the Groove It brush comes with a 3-year bristle guarantee. That means if you can wear out the brush head cleaning clubs in 3 years, which I doubt, send it back and Groove It Golf will get you a free replacement. So prepare to be amazed with the consistency and control that Clean Grooves will give you. Using your existing golf clubs with the Groove It, you'll get the spin, trajectory, and consistency you're looking for. So head on over to grooveitbrush.com to get your Groove It brush with free shipping in the US. Again, that's grooveitbrush.com to get your Groove It brush today. And we're back. Great interview there with Stephanie. I'm not a fan of running, especially marathons where you need to run a lot.
Yes.
But isn't it just cruel to make the last mile uphill in Austin?
It is. Yeah, it's a nice scenic backdrop too with downtown in the background where they finished the Austin Marathon. But geez, what a horrible spot to finish when you made it 25.2 and then they send you uphill for the final straightaway. It is quite cruel indeed, but shout out to Stephanie for finishing that. One of those things maybe on my bucket list that I say is on my bucket list that I don't know if I'll ever get there. I don't know.
I'm never going to run a marathon. It's not happening.
Shout out to Stephanie for doing that for us. And we appreciated all her stories from the food world as well. Fun hearing about the early Joey Chestnut days heading out in the town. So really cool perspective from her. And you can check her out if you're in Austin on KXAN TV at Studio 512 and also on social media as well.
And if you like that interview with Stephanie, plus everything else we do here on the podcast, make sure you give us a review, give us 5 stars, subscribe on the podcast app of your choice.
All that.
Tell a friend, say, hey, you should listen to these guys. They're great. If you've made it this far and you don't like us, then why are you wasting your time?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you're a hater, but yet you've read all of my tweets and you've replied to them all. So like, are you really a hater, or are you just a fan at this point? You might just like us.
Yeah.
Something to think about, isn't it?
Think about it. It's okay. How do you feel right now, Alex? Because I know the Patriots are continuing to shed the past.
They are. Yeah, some tricky news came down today. It's like we're really turning over a new leaf in Foxborough. The times they are changing. The end of a run came for Julian Edelman, a guy that had been just basically off the field for the better part of the last 2 seasons. But obviously a lot of memories for Patriots, New England, and sports fans in general when it comes to Edelman catching those touchdowns in the Super Bowls against the Seahawks, the game winner, and the unbelievable bobble catch in the 28-3 comeback against the Falcons, and the touchdown passes he threw as a former college quarterback turned wide receiver. Just a fun, gritty guy that even if you're not really in the Patriots fan camp, you knew he was a guy that he was giving his all every night, and it's going to be sad to not see him on the football field anymore. Yeah,
it's going to be disappointing, but don't worry, you still got Cam Newton.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I do appreciate having that consolation and whatever the hell we decide to go with here in the next few months of free agency. But yeah, lots of questions in Foxborough, but no question, Julian Edelman, an all-timer and a Patriots Hall of Famer for sure.
For sure. Let's talk about your Boston Red Sox because, hey, guess what? They won 6 straight.
Yes. Last week I came on here and said I had yet to see one positive
season
vibe.
Over.
And I said the season's over. And now I come back to tell you that you definitely don't want to listen to last week's episode because the season is back on. The Red Sox are the hottest bats in all of baseball. So they've restored a little bit of faith. I just like that they have a heartbeat. Again, I say this every spring. Just keep me entertained to the summer and I'll be happy as a casual baseball fan. So I like seeing that. And I mean, oh my God, Mike, I was ready to hand you the AL East, but maybe I'm going to take it back.
But, I have the feeling that you and the Red Sox this year are going to be like me and the Giants, where it's going to be like season's over. Oh my God, the season's back. We're going to win it all. Oh, the season's over. That's how it's going to be for you.
Fair enough.
So
I'll take the roller coaster ride, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if it makes me feel better while the Yankees aren't doing great, the offense is quite quiet. They do have the second least runs allowed in the AL. So
that's not great. But there's a lot of time, and there's 162 of them. So
they can still score more. They need to score more than the other team. That's how you win ball games. That's how you win anything usually. Yeah, except in golf where you score less.
We're trying to score less each and every day.
Each and every day. Let's hashtag always end with food.
Yeah, brought to you by our friends at Toasty Snacks. Promo code COL20 for 20% off. These are great, delicious, shockingly good for you. Plus, they don't melt. Keep them in your golf bag, gym bag, car. They're ready to go. We've tried the flavors and we love them. Toasty Snacks, Toasty Bites, promo code COL20, Toasty.com/COL. Just a few things, just a few yay or nays here that got thrown in front of me. The first one I saw come across my screen this past week, Mike. Mango is my absolute favorite fruit in the world. Mm-hmm. They're coming with a mango flavored Pepsi.
Yep.
Are you in on that or no? I feel like I got to give that a try as a mango lover.
If you gave me an option of mango Pepsi, Peeps Pepsi, or Coca-Cola with coffee,
yes,
I would definitely go mango Pepsi all day.
Nice segue to the different drinks we've talked about in soft drink conversations here. But yeah, I think mango Pepsi probably is the best of those three. So I'm going to have to give that a try soon, and I will report back. What do you got on the docket?
We didn't do a whole lot this past week, but we did go out for ice cream for the first time since the pandemic began.
Oh, nice. Like an adorable little date night, out in the town. You actually go to a lovely little stand and grab a cone of your own.
Yeah. We went to Ben and Jerry's, which is okay. So there's an ice cream place here in Savannah, Leopold's, one of the oldest ice cream places, I think in the South or something, institution.
Sure.
One of those places. I say this, and so does every other person that lives here in Savannah. Not worth the wait.
Yeah.
Why wait an hour for ice cream? It's all right. Or you can go to Ben & Jerry's across the street and get ice cream in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's what people say about barbecue here in Texas, too. There's some places that just have hours-long waits, and you can get some pretty damn good stuff for the 15-minute wait instead. So shout out to the ice cream trick. Want to finish with one other food item that I had that came across my feed, a restaurant combo here, a little collaboration between a Chinese restaurant here in Austin and a famous pizzeria, Via 313, best pizza place in town, Detroit style pizza, but they're coming out with a crab rangoon pizza. We're going to post this on our Instagram and do a little yay or nay with our fans. I want to post a poll and see where people sit on this. This is a Detroit style pizza with crab rangoon stuffing made with cream cheese, wonton crispies, scallions, and sweet chili sauce. Your thoughts on a crab rangoon infused pizza?
First of all, I'm not sure how I feel about being a Detroit style pizza.
Yep,
I've never actually had Detroit style, but I know what it is.
Sauce on top, cheese low, and it's got the texture of focaccia bread, basically.
And it's got, I'm looking at the picture here. The picture is interesting. I don't know how big of a fan I am of this. Seafood on pizza is just, I don't know.
You're going to be missing the tomato flavor, that's for sure. This is very like cheese, cream, and bread heavy.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I like a white pizza. White pizzas are good, so nothing wrong with that.
That's right. Yeah. I have to say I'm going to give this a try in the next few weeks. It's only available through May 2nd, so the clock's ticking for me.
Yeah,
I will come to review if I get to it, though. But I'm intrigued by what this pizza could bring to me.
I'm curious. You know, I don't think I would seek it out, but if we didn't live on, different areas of the country and it was like, hey, let's go, I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's try it.
Yeah, you and I, we lived right next to some hailed pizza places in New Haven, Connecticut back in the day. We didn't really check out there as much as we should have.
No, but there was the infamous white clam pizza at Pepe's in New Haven, and we just never. I stupidly ever went to Pepe's once.
I think you and I never even went there together. That's a very sad miss on our part from our past life, but maybe we can get that back one day.
I don't have many regrets in life, but that is probably not actually one of them.
It's not very early on the list. Okay, yeah, there's a big list. Anyway, that's hashtag always in with food. Thank you very much for joining another great episode of The Course of Life. We've got a fantastic one coming your way again next week. We'll hope to see you all again